It was supposed to be just another night on the road. A long drive, an endless highway, and miles of darkness stretching in every direction. I had been on the road for 10 hours straight, my eyelids heavy, my body screaming for rest. When I saw the neon sign glowing faintly through the fog, I felt relief. A motel. Cheap, small, nothing fancy. But it didn't matter. I just needed a place to sleep. I pulled into the empty parking lot. The sign above flickered. Vacancy. The place looked deserted, but the office light was on. An older man behind the counter barely looked up as I checked in. He slid a key across the counter without a word. The tag said, Room 6. Walking down the narrow hallway, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The carpet smelled musty. The lights buzzed faintly. The kind of place where the air feels heavy, where silence has weight. I opened the door. The room was plain. A bed, a small dresser, a TV bolted to the wall. But there was something unsettling about it. Maybe it was the way the lamp flickered. Maybe it was the faded painting of a woman above the bed, her eyes following me, no matter where I stood. I tried to ignore it. I was too tired to care. I threw my bag on the chair, kicked off my shoes, and collapsed onto the bed. I don't remember falling asleep, but I remember waking up. It was 3 a.m. The air was freezing cold, my breath visible in the darkness. The TV turned on by itself. Static filled the room. And that's when I saw her. A woman, standing at the foot of the bed. Pale, motionless, her long dark hair hanging over her face. She didn't move, didn't breathe, just stood there. I blinked. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. I wanted to scream, to run, but I couldn't move. And then she was gone. Just like that, the room was empty. The TV went black. The air warmed again, like nothing had happened. By morning, I convinced myself it was exhaustion, a dream, hallucination from the long drive. But when I checked out, I asked the clerk casually, "So, anything strange ever happen in room 6? The man froze. He looked at me for the first time. His voice was flat when he said, "You saw her, didn't you?" I laughed nervously. "Saw who?" He shook his head slowly. Room 6 has a history. Some folks see her, some don't. But once you do, you never forget her. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I searched online, and there it was. 30 years ago, a woman was murdered in that very room by her boyfriend. She never checked out. Since then, guests have reported the same thing. The freezing air, the static on the TV, and the woman, standing silently at the foot of the bed. Some say it's just stories to scare travelers. Others swear it's real. I don't know what I saw that night. Maybe I was tired. Maybe my brain was playing tricks. But I'll tell you this. I've stayed in dozens of hotels since then. And no matter how tired I am, no matter how late at night, I will never stay in room 6 again. Because when I close my eyes, I can still see her, standing there, watching. You probably think that stories like this only happen in movies. But what I'm about to tell you is painfully real. This is the story of Claire, a woman who went hiking one bright summer morning and never came back. Claire wasn't the type of person to vanish without a trace. She was 29 years old, worked as a graphic designer, and lived in a small apartment in Denver. Friends would describe her as funny, reliable, maybe even a little stubborn. She had one hobby that defined her: hiking. When the city noise got too loud, when work emails piled up, when life felt heavy, Claire would pack her red hiking jacket, lace up her boots, and head for the mountains. Her mom once said, "She always told me the trail was where she could breathe." July 18th, 2017. Claire texted her best friend at 7:42 a.m. "Heading out. Will text you when I'm back. Shouldn't be too long." She drove her silver Subaru to a popular trailhead 2 hours away. It wasn't some hidden, dangerous wilderness. This was a trail that saw dozens of hikers every weekend. Weather reports said it was clear skies, a perfect 72 degrees. Nothing unusual. She signed her name in the logbook at 9:17 a.m. Her handwriting was neat, her little smiley face next to her name almost too ordinary for what was about to happen. But she never sent the back safe text. By evening, her phone went straight to voicemail. Her friend tried not to panic. Maybe she lost service. Maybe she decided to camp overnight. But Claire wasn't impulsive. She hated worrying people. By the next morning, her car was still parked at the trailhead. And that's when her family knew something was horribly wrong. Search and rescue moved fast. Helicopters flew over the ridge. Dogs combed the forest floor. Volunteers shouted her name until their voices cracked. 3 days later, they found her backpack. It was leaning neatly against a rock, like she just set it down for a rest. Inside, her phone, dead. Her water bottle, half full. A granola bar, untouched. But no sign of Claire. No footprints, no torn clothing, no blood. Just silence. Some people believe she slipped, fell into a ravine, and her body was simply never recovered. But search teams scoured every inch of the terrain, even areas far beyond where she could have walked. Others whisper about something darker. A man was spotted that day near the same trail, someone no one recognized, pacing the parking lot, staring at hikers. Witnesses described him as off, but he was never identified. Could Claire have crossed paths with him? And then, of course, the stories about the mountain itself. Locals call that area Whispering Pines. It has a history: missing hikers, strange lights, voices at night that lure people off the trail. Old newspaper clippings tell of another woman missing in 1982, same ridge. She too was never found. Some say the mountain takes people. Search volunteers later admitted they heard things out there. Soft calls in the trees, like someone crying out for help. But when they followed the sound, no one was there. Her mother spoke at a press conference. She said, "I don't believe my daughter is gone. I believe she's out there, waiting for us to bring her home." For months after, her family kept her apartment exactly as she left it. Her toothbrush still in the cup, her hiking boots by the door. Her father would leave the porch light on every single night. To this day, Claire's case is still open. Every once in a while, hikers report seeing something strange. A flash of red between the trees. A woman's figure vanishing into the mist. Searchers say it's just the imagination, tricks of the forest. But others believe it's Claire, still walking, still lost, or maybe unable to leave. This story has no neat ending. There's no villain caught, no body recovered, no closure for the people who loved her. And maybe that's what makes it so haunting, because when someone vanishes like that, part of them never really disappears. Maybe the mountain really does keep its secrets. Maybe Claire became one of them.